Have you just bought a Bronco and are already looking for mods you can make to it? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 mods I've done to my rig that I would do all over again if I was building a new one. I'll also show a bonus mod that might just save your life. Let's get after it. The first mod I would do again before even leaving the dealership is the ProCal Tune. Now, Ford makes this tune, and what's unique about it is if you have it installed at a dealership or by an ASE certified mechanic, Ford will cover this tune in your engine under warranty for 3 years or 36,000 miles. So that's something that is really unique, being able to apply a tune to a factory vehicle and still have the factory warranty honored even afterwards. So it's a pretty cool thing to be able to have installed. I did pay for a dealer to install mine. It's pretty simple. They use this programmer that comes with the tune. What you're really paying for, of course, is the outcome, right? So this gets plugged into the car. It doesn't have to stay on the vehicle, but it increases horsepower by 8%, torque by 21%, and most notably, it changes the driving dynamic of the car. So the shift points are improved. It's much smoother shifting, especially in sport mode and Baja mode. So to me, this one's a no-brainer. So the ProCal Tune is available for pretty much all of the Broncos. All the EcoBoost engines have a tune available for it. For the Bronco Raptor, it puts the horsepower at 455 and increases torque to 536 pound-feet. So that's an increase of 37 horsepower and 96 pound-feet of torque. So that's pretty significant, pretty smoking deal. And the fact you can get it under the factory warranty is really cool. The only downside of the tune is that you will need to run premium gas. So it does require 91 octane with the tune, but that's just the trade-off you get for having higher amounts of boost. Second mod I would do is upgrading the interior lights. The factory interior lights on the Bronco are really dim. And for me, having a black interior, black floor mats, if you drop something dark, like you're not gonna find it without a flashlight. So upgrading the interior lights makes a huge difference. It's number 2 on my list because it's something you get the benefit of really every day. Like as you're driving the vehicle, whether you're in the parking lot of the grocery store, or if you're out camping and you're in the middle of nowhere, like it benefits you all around. So it's just a great mod. There's a ton of different kits out there. I got my kit. I did a 4-light LED kit from IAG Off-Road, and that puts lights above each of the seats along the roll bar. And then I also got 2 lights from RPM that go in the trunk and in the middle of the back roll bar. And the combination of all of those, I think is sufficient. I picked it not because it was the brightest, but honestly because it was the least expensive, and I think it's plenty bright for my purposes. The third mod on the list is recovery gear and somewhere to keep it. Now, I keep a regular tow strap, not a recovery strap, in the vehicle all the time, because you never know when you're gonna need to give somebody a tow or when you might need a tow out on the road. But I keep a separate bag specifically for off-roading with a actual dynamic recovery strap, as well as soft shackles, some hard shackles, gloves especially. Just having that recovery kit is absolutely a must-have. It's one of those things you never know when you're gonna need it, but when you do, you really need it, and you're sure glad to have it. So that's one thing that's really beneficial. I would definitely make that the next on the list. And having somewhere to put it is kind of interesting because there's not a ton of room. The one thing that I don't love about the Bronco compared to my prior Jeeps, there are less nooks and crannies for fitting stuff inside the rig. So in the Jeep, I had these bags, they fit underneath the rear seats that folded down. That was super cool. I had more room underneath my front seats. I just had more spots to put things. I could put more things along the windows in the back than I'm able to with this. The Bronco is bigger, it's more spacious, it's great, but I wish it had those little cubby holes. So one of the things that I did is I installed a storage bin from DV8. It replaces the factory plastic storage bin with a larger metal one. gives you a little more room, fits the recovery strap, so that's really convenient to have. And then I just use bags for everything else. The fourth mod on the list is Onboard Air. Now, I fell in love with Onboard Air back with my Jeep JL Rubicon, where I had a single ARB compressor under the hood with a remote air chock. Chock? I'm not sure which is correct. Leave a note in the comments. I'm just gonna say air chuck, okay? So I had a remote air chuck in the front bumper of the Jeep. It was super handy, and I knew when I got the Bronco, I was gonna wanna do basically the same thing. Now, on the Bronco Raptor, there is not as much room under the hood. So in this case, I went with a mount from AGS Off-Road that puts the compressor behind the spare tire. So I've got an ARB Twin Compressor right back here. I can plug in the air fitting to the air chuck right here. I use a 4 tire inflation system from from Thor's Lightning, and it works great. So I like the 4 tire setup. I do keep a single air compressor hose in the rig all the time, and my off-road bag has the setup for doing the 4 tires. Having a compressor is so handy for 2 reasons. One is, of course, if you're going off-road, you want to deflate to get maximum traction in sand, on rocks, in snow, right? Ice, like all of those circumstances, like airing down makes a huge difference. And if you don't know that you're going to be able to air back up, then you're just gonna run at street pressures, right? So knowing you can air back up gives you the confidence to air down in the first place, especially when it's quick and easy. So that's awesome. But the other thing is, it's just really handy to have an air compressor on your rig because you never know when you're gonna need it, right? I've had so many times where I've needed to air up tires on my other vehicles, or you see somebody in a parking lot with a flat tire, and it's nice to be able to air them up so they can drive over to a tire shop. The 5th mod on my list is exterior lights. Now, the factory headlights on the Bronco aren't bad, but they definitely could be a bit wider in their spill, especially off-road on a switchback, and a tight trail. It's nice to have something a little bit brighter than that. The factory fogs on the Bronco Raptor are not great. They're well known for not being great. I did aim mine up a little bit, and that did help. So you can get a little bit more out of them. And I wired the 2 of them together off of the fog switch. You'll see that in another video that I've got coming up. And my first exterior light was really the light bar. So I went with a 40-inch light bar from Heretic. Now that one I picked honestly because the Trail Rack's roof rack is specifically designed for the Heretic light bar. It works great. It's a combination beam pattern. However, as a light bar up high, it is very bright, especially with the white light. So if there is dust on the trail, if there's snow falling, right, you will get a lot of backscatter with it. So I would not start with a light bar up top. I'd really start with a light down low. I do also love the fog lights that I got, the combination fog and spotlight from Nacho on the pillar light, but I would start with a bumper mounted light bar. Now there's plenty of awesome alternatives as far as you can do round lights, right? Like some Baja LP6s. Nacho has the Grandes that are super cool, right? But doing those in the way that looks right, which is I think 4 of them, A, is expensive, and B, it covers the camera view. And I love the camera view for parking. So I think a light bar is really the best bang for your buck because you're only paying for 1 lighting fixture and not multiples. It's easier to wire. You don't need to pay for an extra harness. You don't need to pay for an extra mounting bracket to be able to fit it. So I've got one that's coming that you'll see here in just a couple weeks on the channel. And I think that you get just a lot more bang for your buck, right? So for about $600, you can get a 30-inch light bar, which is going to put out a boatload of light. Whereas the alternatives, right? A good fog pocket kit's going to be $1,000 to $1,200. If you do 4 individual lights, the ones that I was looking at between the mounting, the wiring, and the 4 really high-end lights was going to be just shy of $2,000. So it's a lot of money to spend, but mostly I just didn't want to lose that camera. So I would definitely add some amount of exterior lights, and I would start with a bumper mounted light bar in amber. I think that's going to be the way to go. So more to come on that, but exterior lights, mod number 5. The last bonus mod is really safety equipment, right? So first thing you notice when you look at the back of my rig is the fire extinguisher. I have a fire extinguisher specifically for automotive fires. It's mounted to the roll cage with a mount from American Venture Lab. Fortunately, knock on wood, like I've never needed it, but I feel better having it. I've seen vehicle fires on the side of the road before, and it's scary as hell and never want to have that happen. Being able to put something out early is definitely critical, so I'm glad to have the fire extinguisher there. I've also got a fire blanket, because I just happen to have one. And I've got a first aid kit from, what is it from? American Medical Kits. Pro tip on buying first aid gear: if you have a flex spending account through your company, you can use those pre-tax dollars to buy kits like this. There's an FSA store online that makes it easy. And so sometime years ago, it was the end of the year, I had some money left over and I went and ordered this and some other stuff. So awesome way to be able to get basically a 30% discount on these types of things. I've also got a trauma kit with a tourniquet with quick clot and gauze. Hopefully something that I'll never need, but it's nice to know that I've got it just in case. Of course, first aid equipment won't do you any good if you don't know how to use it. So be sure to get training. I was able to get some at basically low or no cost through the Red Cross and through a local paramedic school in Denver. Jump starting cables, or I'm a big fan of the NOCO Genius Boost. Really, any of these modern jump starter batteries can be a real lifesaver. It's also handy. I had to jump start a pickup truck last summer. There was somebody who had been camping for a few days. Their battery was dead, and I just grabbed this. I didn't even have to pull off the road to go up and park right next to them to be able to get the jumper cables to fit. So this does work on a full-size pickup truck, which is pretty sweet, and it's just really, really convenient. Now you might say half of these things aren't mods to the vehicle, they're just stuff you keep in your trunk. And okay, sure. But before you armor your undercarriage, before you lift your vehicle, before you're putting on thousands of dollars of lights, these are the table stakes that you have to have. And the cool thing is, they will work in any vehicle, right? Most of this stuff was on my Jeep before it was in my Bronco. But these are the things that they've got to be your first mods. If you don't have this stuff, don't spend your money on the cool things that you bolt onto the truck. These are the things that really you need to do first. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And if you like this video, be sure to watch this one here that YouTube thinks you'll like.